Good morning, Fahad. Thank you so much for joining me today about AvCon and your wonderful career. You're calling in today from Oman.
That is correct. It's nice to be here. I am calling in from the hot world of Muscat, Oman. True.
Wow. So we were just talking offline there how incredible it is that AvCon has literally reached every corner of the world now, and it's so fantastic to be able to chat, even though technology isn't always on our side, but we're working away on that anyway. And LinkedIn has been fantastic, as in connecting people from different corners of the world and different careers as well. And it's fantastic to see what you have done in your own career so far, and what you're doing now as well. So would you mind explaining a little bit who you are and what you do, and then we can have a little chat again?
Certainly. So I have about a 25-year history in aviation, starting from the military background, being a fighter pilot, moving into the commercial side of operations, going into safety risk management as well. I am a CRMI, which is train the trainer profile in crew resource management. Beyond this, this is what I have done in the past. Right now, as I speak, I am faculty in and researcher in advanced air mobility, which is common man, layman terms as air taxis. This is where I operate right now. I am also delving into research on artificial intelligence, AI, and that is specific to aviation operations. How do we optimize aviation with the use of AI? So that is where I am. Beyond this, I'm appearing just like you, appearing on a few television screens across the globe with TRT World in Russia, in Turkey. I appear on different seminars, summits, and events taking place on the international scale as well, related to aviation. So beyond this, it's always been my vision, and which I am living right now, to add value to global aviation. That is where I operate, and that is what leads me to new places and people like you. So that is where I am.
You've worked in aviation for 25 years on many different levels. You're now teaching and researching future technology that we didn't have 25 years ago. So that's just amazing. And like, also AI is very, very new, and it's great to see the good part of it being interconnected within aviation and other industries as well, how we can use it to the best. You mentioned air taxis and eVTOL there. That is like bigger than drones. So I'm not really aware. Well, I am aware of it, but I don't really understand the e-taxis or eVTOLs and that advancement. I was on my first helicopter ride there trip just over a week ago. So that was my first time actually, other than being in an airplane. So it was amazing to see that. So to envisage the e-taxi, eVTOLs and the air taxis is something incredible. It's not something that I would have ever pictured before.
Correct. So the technical term for air taxis is advanced mobility vehicles. The AAMs, or the advanced air mobility vehicles, specifically are categorized in two groups. One is regional air mobility, and the second is urban air mobility. Both these mobility vehicles facilitate urban city, regional outside the city at a greater length or greater distances. This is an evolving and innovative technology which integrates a lot of advanced techs. One, battery technology. Two, electric driven engine. Three, flight management systems. 4 flight control systems, and last but not the least is artificial intelligence itself. All these integrate, amalgamate to make the air taxi of today. There are a few varieties that we have. First, let's start from UK. We have the Vertical Aerospace Company. In Germany, we have Lilium Volocopter. Moving into USA, we've got Beta Technologies, Archer, and Whisk from Boeing. So they're working on their own. But leading the pack right now in air taxi technology is China. Interesting as it is, they have already gone international with their products. For example, EH216S. This is a model from eHong, a company which generates, produces, manufactures, assembles air taxis. They've operated in Saudi Arabia. They've operated in UAE. So they are far ahead than what the West has to offer. There are segregations in the controllability of these vehicles. One is fully autonomous, fully AI based, point-to-point navigation from origin to destination. Then we have the second category, which is piloted. So these are a few intricacies of air taxis or advanced air mobilities as we speak contemporarily.
And how far would the air taxis be able to travel?
Well, it all depends on the battery availability or the battery tech that is used. Just like the Teslas and the electric vehicles on the roads that we have, it is not very long ranged. It has the capacity to take short hops of maybe 15 to 20 minutes, about 30 to 50 kilometers. So this is within the city. There is one more air company which is called Lilium. Lilium is from Germany. They are the only jet-based eVTOL or air taxi. eVTOL is the technical name for air taxi. Again, it stands for Electric Vertical Takeoff and Landing Vehicle. Just like a VTOL or the heli that you took your ride on previous week, this is an electric vertical takeoff and landing. So ranges vary specific to the battery time or the battery availability, and the technology is advancing leaps and bounds, has improved in the past and continues to evolve in the future as well.
And today, is there many air taxis already in operation? I assume that you have to go through an awful lot of international and national authority to get clearance to do it. So how many countries would have it now, and what type of people would take them?
Okay, so right now there are two types of certification requirements in aviation. One is a type certification, then is the product certification. Majority of the West is on type certification category right now. That being said, the East or the Orient, China specifically, they have type and product certification of their eVTOLs. Countries, if I were to give you timelines, no country has it right now.
Okay.
I'll be specific to China. They are the only ones who have allowed their National Aviation Authority or CAA China has allowed some, not all, some air taxis to fly in urban environments. eHong is just one company of them. So what they have done is that they have done it nationally and pushed it internationally into the GCC, UAE, Saudi, as I mentioned before. So right now, timeline-wise, UAE, Dubai specifically, is looking at 2025 next year. 2026 is Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. London has announced 2028 and 2030 for mass operation. So
Okay.
this is where the timelines are right now. So we are looking at a promising future in eVTOL or advanced air mobility technology.
Okay, so the students at AvCon and TY Hub would be talking to this age group when they're finishing school. So they're now 15, 16 years of age. So when they're finishing school and they're going to look at their careers in aviation, for example, this would be something that could come up on their college applications and going forward, that this could be their side of aviation that they can be looking at rather than the traditional world of aviation. So for to have, I mean, our age group would be looking at sustainability as well. So this would fall into the sustainable category. They're very aware of
Absolutely.
more aware than the rest of us, but it is something. I was at an event yesterday and sustainability was huge with the students that I got to speak to, but also connecting the careers, what they would have as traditional careers, putting them like kind of like, oh, would you not look at aviation, or something linking to it. So really it is important to foster this new view on it as well. So you were saying that these would be AI driven or piloted. Some wouldn't have actual people piloting, but I would assume when you're saying AI or drone driven, it'd be like the drones. They'd have people that would kind of like taxi from an office as well.
Yes, yes. So the sequence of certification, which is a very important aspect, and we'll talk on another aspect in aviation, in advanced air mobility space. So certification sequence will always be more comfortable with a pilot in the hot seat, or a pilot on the flight deck, or an air or a guy who is managing the affairs. So the first easier certification will be of a piloted cargo advanced air mobility vehicle. The second will be the non-piloted AI based cargo vehicle. Third will be the piloted passenger eVTOLs. And fourth, last but not the least, will be the non-piloted eVTOL passenger vehicles. So this is the sequence that we are looking at, because it is more risk managed, the hazards identified, risks mitigated, facilitates ease of certification by the national aviation authorities of the world, may it be Ireland, may it be UK, all CAAs of the world look at risk mitigation through regulatory frameworks. Mm-hmm. So this is one aspect. The other is going to be the sequencing that is required for this certification to be reached. The aircrafts that we see flying in the air right now, may it be Ryanair or Wizz Air or JetBlue or any other, all are certified through an insurance product. So the insurance is a prerequisite. Just like the cars we drive, they are all insured. The aircrafts need to be insured. Similarly, the eVTOLs need insurance as well. The insurance companies like Lloyd's of London and AerCap from Ireland, they do not want to go into the insurance of these eVTOLs or air taxis. Reason? They don't have the required regulatory framework which mitigates the risk. Mm-hmm. So 9th of September, previous week and a half, week approximately. So in Montreal, the first ICAO-led Advanced Air Mobility Symposium took place, where the world of aviation fell together, brought their heads together, and identified how to make rules, regulations, protocols, laws to facilitate safe and efficient eVTOL operation. So now things are starting to roll. So regulatory framework is number one. Insurance products are number two, or insurance premiums. Number three is type and product certification. Then we come into the all important X factor. And in aviation, the X factor is the passenger. So the public acceptance of this technology has to be in place and ensured. So this is how things will move from this place onwards, where we stand today, where the air taxis are coming into the fold of aviation. And then we continue to build on this. And in the end, the concept of air taxis is to facilitate the common man, the liberalized use of air technology, or UAM, or urban air mobility vehicles. So that is the long and the short of it.
It's how do we, so if it's still a product in making, how do we encourage and inspire the next generation to look at this as a career, not as a maybe or a possible, but actually look at this as a career going forward, because it is still very young and very new. Because we're even on the ground, people still have issues with getting electric cars. And you know, the use of drones now for delivery. So we have Manadrone delivery here in Ireland, and not too far away from me. So and it's like something that we used to watch on Futurama or Back to the Future, you know, all those movies from the 80s and 90s, where, you know, all this technology was a dream, and now it's starting to come real as well. So for us, we're kind of going, yeah, we get it. It looks cool and sounds incredible. But how do we, if we don't understand it fully, as you said, the people are the ones that are going to help the final decision making in this. How do we encourage our age group, as well as the future generation, to look at this as a potential career?
So if I peek into the looking glass of the future, it is not a question of if, but a question of when. It is inevitable that this is going to be our reality of our future mobility or transport solutions. Why do I say this? All operations or tactics works on policy level pushes or doctrine level incursions. The global body for aviation is ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization in Canada, which is a subservient body to United Nations. So they have given a policy level decision of net zero 2050. Net zero means the overall carbon footprint of aviation will be zero. Right now, the airlines which are flying on a global perspective do not generate a lot of carbon emissions. Globally speaking, they're only 2%. They're only 2%. But we want to reduce this even further, because we don't want the global warming of anything above 1.5 degrees Charlie every year. So we want to maintain that. So policy is the driver for this technology of advanced air mobility. And the policy, once again, from the global watchdog, which is ICAO, has stated 2050 that we will be net zero. Okay. With conventional old school technologies like the turboshaft engine of the heli ride that you took, the old turbojet engines in old aircraft commercially operating, the turbofan engines of the past, the ultra high bypass ratio engines that are in place, they cannot cut it. We will require sustainable solutions, as you correctly mentioned, to facilitate this policy to come into place. So the requirement, once again, is to go green with different initiatives. One initiative is this advanced air mobility. The second that is famous right now is SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuel. You may have heard of this. In case of, it is in the drop-in category. it uses disused, misused, or oils which are there from the industry, even the home that the oils that we use, they mix and match chemically and make the sustainable aviation fuel, which can be used in the same engines which we are using right now.
Okay.
To be very specific, Etihad Airlines, using an A380 in the recent past, did all 4 engines on SAF. So things are moving in the same direction. Yes, the production capability is a challenge, but once again, the policy direction given by ICAO is driving all these initiatives. So it is once again, I'll reiterate, it's not a question of if, but a question of when this thing comes into place.
So how do we inspire and encourage people to look at this then to I mean, like 2050 is not that far away. So
Absolutely.
you know, we're all going to have to jump on this bandwagon of sustainability fairly rapidly. It's only 26 years, not even 26 years away now at this point.
Yes.
So we're halfway there already. Like if we look at the millennium side of things, so that's an incredibly short space of time. I mean, like imagine like aviation's only 100 years old, just you know, in and around 100 years old now. So like especially civil aviation is only just 100 years old, or just over 100 years old. So within 25 years to go from, or for, let's say within 130 years to go from flying you know, paper and wood to giant jets flying through the sky, and then going back to something that is more sustainable, probably would, I mean, like they probably would have had more sustainable ideas back when they started making it, because they didn't have the technologies then. So is it kind of like back to the drawing board for this? And how do we get the young minds to think of this? So obviously we can come up with a certain amount of ideas, but these students are in schools, like in Ireland at the moment, the Leaving Certificate Engineering has a project on it. It's engineering. It's one of the Leaving Cert subjects, the practical subjects, that they have to design and make a model of a rotary engine. Which is totally new. Never had aviation in the Leaving Cert before, and this is now something that a project that they're all going to be working on for 2025. So schools, education is starting to bring it in and bringing the thoughts process in. But how do we? And I'm putting me into that category now. I wasn't in aviation last year, but now I am. But how do we help that development and help encourage these young minds to think beyond the Xbox and the PlayStations?
Yes. So there are 2 types of education that we have. One is formal and the other is the informal degree. Most of the students like me, they want to learn on the informal method of operation. So the facilitation of students on a global scale is a strong point right now. Just like we are talking 6,000 kilometers away through this data link connection, the AI and the technology is growing leaps and bounds. There is a specific law, if I may add, we call it the Moore's law. This law states that technological advancement or computing technology doubles every fiscal year, and the financial effect or the prices half. Just like the example of the iPhone 16, which is out right now, it's a pretty expensive piece of machinery. But if you look at iPhone 15, which is a year old approximately, it's almost half price. So this is where technology is going leaps and bounds and improving. And the method is once again to educate the next generation. They are much more aware, but we can make them more aware through the initiatives like we are having a discussion on. It may be more informal than formal education, but the importance is to make people and the next generation, which I refer to as Gen Alpha, because we are Gen Zs. So Gen Alpha needs more clarity of where things are heading. I certainly believe things are moving in the correct direction, and they will hasten the process as Moore's law dictates. AI gets integrated. We just like an example. Once I started flying, this was back in 1999, a long time back. We never heard of ultra high bypass ratio engines, sustainable aviation fuel, never heard of advanced air mobility. Drones were an imagination, just like Back to the Future, Mr. Fusion, Dr. Fusion, if that machine that used all the compost waste. It was all fiction. So the statement once again, before there is science, there is science fiction. So both have to come in par. Talking of history, Leonardo da Vinci, the ornithopter, never thought of it flying away. Montgolfier brothers, 1700s, lighter than air flight. Abbas ibne Farnas from the Middle East, the Jalebi brothers from the Ottoman Empire, Wright brothers, 1903. They were bicycle or cycle maintenance professionals. Never thought of flying, but as you mentioned, we've come a long way in the previous 100 odd years, and things are improving. And the pace of this evolution or innovation is not stopping. In fact, it is amalgamating and multiplying every time. The next generation is always better than the previous. Our next generation, Gen Alphas, will be more prudent in one, sustainability, two, advancing this technology to make this world a better place.
And the importance of having like specific, not even specific, events like AvCon. So it's an initiative that it's not just an event. We are going to be going further into different things. So we have Aviation Pathways Portal, which is brand new, but hopefully by 2025, our app, as we call it, will be helping connect those dots. So for like what we're discussing there now, to even for me then to go off now, find the education side of it, to connect the dots to the jobs that will be there in the future, it will be up on this pathway. So it's not just talking. We are going to connect those dots that that are there. So our age group at the moment is 15 to 23 year olds that will be attending AvCon. We have 6,000 students descending on the Irish Air Corps for one whole day. I will be very quietly sitting in a corner watching it all happen. But we have incredible speakers on the day to inspire, to talk about policies, certifications, as well as what it's like to work from the ground right up. As TY Hub has been developed over the past 5 years, students don't understand that when they're talking about careers, that there are humans on the other side of these careers, and that they have to go through a process, whether it's further education like college or university, or apprenticeships, or learning by hard graft, like a lot of us have done as well. So very practical, hands-on, to help them develop and connect the dots. That's what these two products is that we have, TY Hub and AvCon. So for yourself, like there's loads of air shows around the world, and we have some air displays here in Ireland. We have the Bray Air Display, which myself and my family go to every year, without fail. Rain or sun, we are there, and we marvel at, you know, the stunts and the aircraft and what's coming up. But we don't have many events, in-person events anymore, that for education, for students, that is just solely on an industry. There's plenty of events for here in Ireland anyway. I don't actually know about abroad. Career expos, but it's every career out there, and it's very hard to kind of pull it all together. So you have the fun element of aviation, but not necessarily the career expos for the younger generation. You would have them for the likes of networking within the industry, and they're amazing events, and I can't wait to go to more of them, and there's a lot. But initiatives like AvCon and TY Hub, the importance of them going forward on a global aspect is really important as far as I'm concerned. But what would you say to this? Because we're also live streaming the event, so it's not just going to be the people that are there on the day. We've already we've closed the registration for students last week, and to attend in person. And we opened up our live stream, which we've already have 400 students signed up for that one. So to see this going from, oh yeah, we can do 6,000 kids and 600 schools, from, like you said, science fiction, from a dream to reality. It's an incredible feat to see as well for us. But for you being in the industry, how do you see AvCon being of importance to the industry as well as education?
I certainly believe these discussions have to take place, and making it as formal as possible to make sure that there's a conversion process. I keep telling my prodigies in aviation, the biggest thing is that we get inspired by aviation. That's the first step. So the inspiration gets you started, but there is another factor which helps you finish, and which is commitment and discipline. So inspiration gets you started, discipline gets you finished. Right now, the students of today need to be inspired, two, committed and disciplined as well, to make sure that they go the paces. Aviation is such an amazing industry, as well as academia, if you're into research, that you get inspired and you get up every day and you inspire yourself every day. But once you're inspired, you need to take it to the next level, and which is once again through commitment, discipline, to finish or convert that into something real world. AvCon, in my opinion, will be that inspiration, one, and two, if you connect with the correct academia. In Ireland, I was recently mentoring a student from the Bachelor's of Aviation program from DCU, Dr. Victoria. She was the academic side of it, and I was looking at the industry component of drone technology. So there are programs which are in place which can be gelled together with AvCon, including the academia as well as the industry. And I certainly believe there is a lot of potential in making this synergy come together to achieve the objective of making sure the students in the end take the helm of affairs of aviation in the future and make it even better. Getting jobs is just a part of that process.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that they'll have to be like computer minded for the future of aviation? Or is this something that they can maybe add along the way?
Correct. Computer education, language, AI language, large language modeling, may it be the use of AI in GPT mode, generative pre-trained transformer domains, like Google's Gemini and Microsoft Copilot or OpenAI's ChatGPT. they all have these all are tools. They're not ends in themselves. They will help. They can help if used ethically and morally correctly, to make a lot of new innovations in aviation. So if a student wants to go into these aspects and also in parallel go into aviation, I will certainly vouch to have a good mix of both computer education as well as aviation education.
And with sciences, would you look at STEM as well, of being very much of importance? But what if somebody that is now in secondary school or high school and they don't have those subjects yet? They can still do it. They can if they want to achieve anything, they can finish school and then go find courses. Like here in Ireland, they're called PLC courses. But they can further themselves even if they don't have the education through the traditional education systems.
Correct. So vocational training, B.Tech programs, this is a jump between the A levels or the 12 years of education into the bachelor's program. So there is this jump that you can take, where you get yourself well versed in domains of aviation or aeronautics or aerospace, if you want to go to the technical side, the engineering side of it, and then build yourself up from there. There are other possibilities. For example, major companies, major aerospace companies have this program which is facilitating students with a contract. They finish their education under the cover of the company, and for the next 5 to 10 years, they work under contract with the same company. I'm not 100% what's the name of such a program, but it is available internationally.
Yeah, it's an apprenticeship.
You're correct. Thank you for letting me know. Apprenticeship, absolutely.
I know here in the Irish Air Corps in Ireland, you you need a basic education, get your leaving cert, you have to pass your leaving cert, but you can go into the likes of the Air Corps as general service. Then you can go to apprentices. And if you want, you can also go to the cadetship and become a pilot. But you can go to
very interesting
these steps, so you don't automatically have to go straight in, have a college degree. There are other ways of getting to those levels and experience. As you're going through these processes, experiences are huge. Like even getting a job as helping in a car garage, as a mechanic at the weekends, and gaining work experience there. You are learning what you were saying before, your discipline. You are learning your commitment, and you're also learning certain aspects that you can then go, right, well, I've used that. I've done this my whole entire career. I'm going to take this and I'm going to use it for the next thing. And it will help you build your own experience, because experience cannot be bought. It cannot be educated either. So you can go to college and you can go to university, but never have picked up a tool and not understand this. So when like the Irish Air Corps, you can go through the different phases. And I think that a lot of industry development can be brought into that as well, that we not necessarily step away from the traditional education system, but like you said, these companies take on apprenticeships. I mean, like we're also now have accountancy as an apprenticeship, so there's a lot more development in education where they can be hands-on. Not everybody is academic. A lot of people that in engineering would have a blend of both, and some would be more hands-on than others. So it's great to see that in the education system as well.
I certainly believe that there is a lot of potential in the Gen Alphas of tomorrow who can make a big difference, because they are more tech savvy. They're more prepared for the future, unlike people like me or my generation who have seen the advent or the innovation of a cell phone from an amps to a GSM set. Now it is advancing to augmented reality, to virtual reality. You don't have to have a cell phone in your hand, blah, blah, blah. So things are moving ahead, and this next generation shows a lot of promise, and I believe they can do a lot of good to aviation, and aviation can vice versa do a lot of good for them as well.
Yeah, and people in the industry at the moment giving back to the education or inspiration is amazing. So I thank you so much for coming on today and having a chat with me about it. And I hope we can have more in the future because it's very interesting to keep the conversation going and open up and giving back to the community as well. AvCon is a free event for schools and students because we believe inspiration should be free and accessible to everybody. So it doesn't matter where you are, you should be able to access information and inspiration. And like you said, 6,000 miles away. we're crossing the boundaries. So you'll be able to check in on the day and watch the live stream as well and our different talks. We are calling on the last bit of funding to come in as well. So if anybody is interested in investing in the future of aviation, the next generation, and inspiring them to get careers, let us know, and we'll try and help fill that skills gap with our AvCon. And we're also already working on next year's one. So not busy at all.
But once again, it's a pleasure being here. It's an honor and to have conversed with you and share some bit of information which I've learned over the past couple of decades, if not more. And looking forward to doing even more. As I mentioned before, my vision in life is to add value to global aviation. This is exactly what we've done in the previous 35, 40 minutes.
Definitely. Well, thank you again so much, Fahad, for joining me today. And I know you're teaching today as well, so thank you for taking the time out and jumping on probably on your lunch break.
Yes, that is correct.
So thanks again, and keep in touch, and if you have anything else that you'd like to share, let us know, and we'll be happy enough to share it. And good luck with the future education.
Thank you, and best of luck for the AvCon, for the event itself, and especially for the next generation of aviators which are there in Ireland and on the global scale as well. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks a million, Fahad. Thanks a lot.